I start to lay the polygel, and then this happens. You're not going to believe how long I've had this, but let's get into it and I'll show you. So as you saw, this polygel kit came rather informally. It had no name on the box. It came with dual forms, you know, the curvy ones, which I won't be using because I'll be doing the lazy girl method today and we'll use full cover nails instead. It has one of those clips. There's top coat, base coat, and a matte top coat, which I like that many companies have started to include this as an essential to their kits. Some slip solution. It keeps the brush from sticking to the polygel. A 100-180 grit hand file, and a dual-ended brush. I'm showing it for anyone new that's learning. It has the brush on one end and spatula on the other. And always remember to check the instructions. Be certain to check them so you know what's possibly specific to the brand. So these are 15 milliliter and don't have names, so they're numbered. And let's see the colors, which I do remember that I chose these because all of them are Shimmer Polygels. So you'll see swatches in a bit. I do think they did very well representing the colors on the tubes because while swatching, I was so captivated by how dense the shimmer. You'll notice I stop a couple of times so you can see too. I also only show doing the index and pinky because I'm doing one same color on all nails in this tutorial, but there'll be plenty of explanations and helpful tips. So far, I do like how they look, so let's see how they perform. So I chose color 7, this pretty blue with the pink shimmer. When doing the Femi Beauty method, full cover nails are used, and it's always best to size up when choosing, as polygel will draw and tighten during curing. Most full cover nails come with a little tab at the free edge that'll need to be filed away. It was funny to me this time because I always like to brag that most nails fit me well, and for the most part I don't have to customize a shape for a good fit, but not these. Not all of these will need customizing and shaping, but for instance, like with the middle finger, see how it's designed straight across but my art is more rounded? So I had to gently file the corners to get them to a proper fit, and then be sure to clean the dust away. I'm working on other videos and don't want to over prep while doing content. Besides, my nails are so thin on their own. But here's a brief prep with notes. And I've explained before, you'll see variations as new things are experimented. But this is the basics. Push the cuticle area. Clean around all edges of the nail bed. Then you can use a hand file or an e-file. I chose my Melody Susie cordless Atena e-file. I started liking the comb bit as I've mentioned before because for me it's a 3-in-1. Doing the sidewalls, cuticle area, getting dead skin, and it's great for etching the nail surface. All without having to stop and change drill bits. Then I clean with alcohol. You also should consider trimming your nails. Mine have recently been done. So let me point out real quick, these nails were etched, which I didn't have to do. It's done for gel enhancements, but it doesn't hurt. I was thinking I was doing a different set because I have so many planned. In the Femi Beauty method, instead of placing the nail on, then designing it on top, you're basically filling in the nail. As you can see, I have it upside down. Then once it's filled, you flip it to the correct side and place it. So I started with base coat. This creates an adhesion layer. It's also used to hold embellishments you want to put in before curing. I kept this simple using one color for anyone who's learning, especially for the first time, but there'll be a little bling afterwards. I cure the base coat for 30 seconds. While that's curing, this is where I do my own thing. Your natural nails also have to be set with base coat. You can do them all at once before getting started with the polygel, but me, I prefer to do mine individually. Then I cure that for 30 seconds. I start to lay the polygel, and then this happens. I didn't have it pushed into the tack well enough, so now I'm scrambling trying to put it back on the stand. As you can see, this is a stickier polygel, so you need to keep a little saturation in your brush. Just not super wet. And I forgot to use the slip solution that came with this because you don't see it in kits as much anymore. So I forgot it, but I'm using 70% alcohol. I stopped using base coat with Shimmer Polygels, as I've mentioned before, because they have a tendency to make the polygel color and shimmer look thinned out. You want to work it smooth and evenly, working it all the way up the side edges. A key thing, when the brush starts to feel like it's sticking to the polygel, it's time to saturate your brush again. And remember to flip it to the upside and check how it's coming out. I want you to notice I just wet my brush, but you don't see a heavy amount of alcohol running through the nail or the polygel. Because if it's too wet, it will form overhang spillage when it's cured. When placing it, start at the arc of the nail bed and carefully lay it down to the free edge. It only takes a little pressure, otherwise it will start oozing out. And I feel like this was laid perfectly and doesn't need cleanup. What do you think? So I go ahead and cure according to instructions, and this is how it looks. Specific instructions are important because other polygels might have different curing times. So if you're having trouble with a proper cure, it is possible you went by something you saw or heard instead of what the instructions actually recommend. So again, I lay base coat inside the enhancement, and while that cures for 30 seconds, which is typical for most base coats, I also place base coat on my natural nail and cure that for 30 seconds. I've already talked about not using base coat as a slip solution, in particular with Shimmer Polygels, and also making sure to keep your brush with saturation. Here's a few other things. We all prefer a more firmer polygel, but at the same time, there's so many others that are beautiful without that consistency. So it helps to identify how to work with them. With stickier polygels, you don't want to pull or drag unless it's for a particular look or design, like for instance an ombre. You can get away with doing that with firmer polygels, but here you'll just keep pulling it out of place. So with this, you just go to pat with a feathered touch. It also helps to keep your brush flatter and parallel to the surface of the polygel. And also a strong reminder, as you work, continue to eyeball the sides because polygel will already be drawing in even before you place it in the lamp to cure, so you might have to go over it not just once, but a few times. This one I overcalculated and had too much polygel, but I continued to work the polygel evenly and let it come out over the edge. Then I took the excess and placed it on the next nail to keep from wasting it. And I'll let you watch it being laid. Now, if it requires cleaning before you put it in the lamp to cure, also make sure that your brush isn't heavily wet with alcohol or slip solution, because again, remember I said it will form the overspill. Once cured, the polygel underneath is going to have that sticky inhibition layer that needs to be wiped away. I use 70% alcohol, and you should use a lint-free wipe. I'm only using paper towel because this isn't an actual service. And here's some brief filing. And remember, it's optional. You can use a hand file or an e-file because polygel has a softer characteristic and it's easier to file, so a hand file will be suitable. I go in with my e-file just to refine that cuticle area more. And guys, I'm trying to decide whether to use shiny top coat or matte top coat. What do you think? I went ahead and went for the glossy no wipe top coat because I'm going to be doing gling. I'm going to be doing bling. I do need to point out that this bling is being laid with my left hand and I am right-handed, so I'm using my non-dominant hand for placement. And I think it came out okay. I love how these turned out. This what is wrong with my talking today? This baby blue is so cute, isn't it? If you enjoyed this and it was helpful, I do have a polygel playlist that also includes some hacks. You can see them by clicking this link. And remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything else. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Much love.